All right, on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, the Avs drop 1-5 to the Dallas Stars in a game that had everything: good goaltending, bad goaltending, good defense, bad defense, a comeback bid, a best acting nominee. It had everything. Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, this is Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about it. Anger. Anger is what I feel about this one. So we'll get to it. But follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. When you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. So I don't know, man. Like you see, if you're watching on YouTube, like you see the final bullet point, and which is, this is how it is going to be this year for the Avalanche. And I don't have to jump ahead to that right now, but I kind of just feel that way. Like you get good, you get bad, you get everything in between, and that's kind of what you got in this game for the Avs. Because overall, I don't think they played a bad game. I thought they played their game. Were there things that they have to improve on? 100%, but that's every single game in ever played in hockey. You're never gonna have a perfect game. This wasn't one of those games where it's like they were in command the entire time and just had a bad outcome. Dallas does what Dallas does. They keep themselves in the game. This one, they were ahead in the game. But I thought for the Avalanche, I thought like they were playing their game, and this comes down to execution. And you had multiple opportunities. And this also comes down to another thing, a difference in goalies. This is what happens when you have a really good goalie in net for you and one that is not up to that level and to that standard. And I think you're going to see a lot of that this year rewind it just a couple days earlier, where you got a really good performance from your goalie against Vegas, and you follow that up, and it's not the best performance from him. Sure, the defense played a role in that too, but it's just going to be a season of a wild ride for the Avs, and you saw it against Dallas.
Yeah, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, I think the word you could summarize, honestly, the Dallas game and Vegas to a point, it's exposed. The Avs, they have got by so long through this season with just completely taking the first period off, terrible defense, terrible goaltending. Nathan McKinnon, save us. And it's not going to work. That was what the Avalanche relied on in 2017, 2018, 2019. Like, it was one line. You remember it was just one line that the Avalanche had? Yeah. That's basically what they're starting to revert to. Like, this Dallas game, the passing was just atrocious. You had 5 power plays. You capitalized on 1.
Really 4, because 1 was like a 10-second power play. But overall, yeah.
Still, you have the opportunity where Dallas, by the way, is playing physical. They are making it impossible for you to set up anything and get anything going right. And instead of, just settling it down and dictating the tempo, the long ice passes, like, I'm so glad the 2-line pass rule doesn't exist anymore, because those would have been called all night long. It was just a rough game, and the Avs slow to get started. The second period was abysmal. And then, yes, the third period was great for the Avs, but then you ran out of gas. You pull the goalie and immediately let up the goal, and that was it.
I mean, I didn't necessarily don't mind like long stretch passes, because it keeps the defense honest. Like but everything other than that, Dallas was just, getting sticks on absolutely everything, either getting sticks in the lane or their bodies in the lane and blocking shots. That's what they do. That's how they make it very difficult for you. They do not give you a lot of time and space. So because of that, you have to kind of like stretch the ice a little bit. And that's kind of what the Avs were trying to do. It didn't really work a lot. But it's tough to, when you're going up against a team like this, to get down, because the comeback bid is just that much more difficult to do. And the Avs almost did it. And did it surprise me? No, because like I said, I thought they were playing well. They just couldn't get pucks in the net, which is easier said than done on a goalie like Ottinger. But go ahead. You're going to say something.
Yeah, my point to the stretch passing, it would work if this team was 100% healthy and this was the team that has played all year, because you know what to do with the puck. But if you go back and watch, there's a lot of times that they did those stretch passing. Like Miles Wood is on the IR. Like the injury list is going to be growing after this game. We'll have to look and see how that looks. But like you had a lot of guys just floating around. And like I saw Taser take one in all by himself, just starting the rush because of long passes. And you saw like two guys chasing each other for a puck, a lot of puck chasing, and just the whole team's out of sorts because nobody knows what to do because they're trying to adjust with those long passes. And it's, hey, it's the Gretzky rule. I skate to where the puck's going to be. Like everybody's doing that. And it just looks rough and it's bad and it's hard to get the tempo going. And it's one of those moments that you just wish somebody would set up behind the net and then slow everything down, reset, and try again.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one aspect of it. But I thought, for most of the game, I liked what the Avs were doing. It was just, you saw, when things are going right, they say it all in sports, across sports. Like when things are going your way, you're getting the bounces, you're in the right place at the right time. And it was like, the Avs were just fighting tooth and nail and clawing for every open opportunity to just take a shot on net, and that would get blocked or a stick in the lane. And then Dallas gets one where there's a rebound where Jamie Benn is just standing right there, right where it comes to him. And it's the easiest goal of his career. And it's like, when that happened, I'm like, this is how things are going. That's the Avalanche season in a nutshell right there, because they're fighting for everything, which is fine because you should have to fight in this league and in this sport. But you have nothing to show for it, where Dallas, on the other hand, just right place, right time, don't have to move a muscle, and we're just going to put an empty net goal right in. And speaking of empty net goals, another one that the Avalanche give up, and it's just a puck that just jumps right over Cale Makar's stick. Just a simple pass from the wing right to the point, and it just goes right over his stick. Again, there's so many moments you can point to in this game where it's like, if that's not a microcosm of how the season's going for the Avalanche, I don't know what is.
Well, it's also, if you got to take a little step back, like the Avs are not doing themselves any favors. Like going into that second period, the Avs blocked 17 shots and Dallas didn't block a single one. Like before this game, I was watching a little bit of the Devils and Red Wings game. And like, when you watch how other teams are comprised and how they're playing the game, and then you watch Colorado, go back and watch. There's a lot of just discombobulation, and this team there are so many opportunities this team has where the mistakes, yes, they do end up costing the Avalanche, but if it's the Avs are just out of sorts. Like,
I don't know, man. Like, I don't
in the first the first two periods, the Avs looked disjointed.
Maybe in the second. I don't want to say they look disjointed. I just think that Dallas was outplaying them in the second. In the first, like they had opportunities right off the bat. Nathan McKinnon hits the post like his first shift, or hit the crossbar his first shift, and they have opportunities for rebounds. That's just a good goalie. That's just what you get in a good goalie. And Jake Ottinger is that. So, and then there was another one where Nathan McKinnon, I think, it was Nathan McKinnon was, going behind the net, and he threw a perfect pass. I think it was to Arturi Lehkonen, who just shot it a couple feet wide. Like, that's what they're missing. They're just missing that, like the perfection to really like to, you have moments where you should be scoring a goal, and the goal, and if you're on your game, that's what I'm saying. Like when things are going your way, everything's going in the net. Shots like that will go. There was a number of goals when they're having their comeback. You had that incredible move from Cale Makar, just skating all over the ice to find Miko Rantanen. Right after that, you have a power play, and you had good opportunities on that power play. Miko Rantanen's right there, right next to the goal, and it just goes off the side of the net. So, like, I don't like getting into this mode of like when they win, everything is great, and when they lose, everything is bad, because you can have losses and still play well. They didn't play perfect. I'm not saying they did. They had defensive lapses. They left Georgie out to dry a couple times. He should have made some saves a couple times, but it's all inclusive. But I don't want to play the game of just because they lost this game, everything they did was bad. I didn't think it was. It's execution, which is not happening for them. They're getting moments, they're getting looks, and they're just sailing them wide. They're shooting it into just right into the goalie's chest. They're not picking corners. And we're in December, technically. I feel like those things should be ironed out by now.
Yeah,
a little bit frustrating.
I feel like we're saying the same thing. Like it's the same thing I've said if it's win or loss. Like this is the stuff that cannot keep happening, and it keeps happening, and it's just we don't get to talk about it when they win because we get to talk about the stars of the night. But when they lose, it's the same old, hey, clean up the first period. We got to do better with our passing. The defense needs to figure out what's going on because there's a lot of bailouts and just not on their guy. It's the same thing we've been saying all season long. It's just that's what you talk about and lead with because that's the problem. But when they win, it's because somebody played better than the problem.
Well, let's talk about something that is a problem, and that's special teams. So let's get our first break in, and then we come back. More to talk about with this game between the Stars and the Avalanche. We'll do that right after this. All right, let's hear from Game Time and the Game Time ticketing app. They got a brand new feature called Game Time Picks, which makes it getting tickets. There we go, for your favorite live event even easier. And Game Time Picks, it filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. There's other things on the Game Time app, which we absolutely love outside of the Game Time Picks. You got the all-in pricing. You toggle that feature on, and it shows you the total upfront, no surprise fees at checkout. You have your seat views. It's a panoramic view from your seat right in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, or they will credit you 110% of the difference. And Game Time ticket coverage, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time and download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Mr. Sullivan?
It's game time.
All right, so welcome back, and more on this game between the Avalanche and the Stars. The Avs rally falls short, and part of the problem is special teams. And I don't really. They always show when a team goes on a power play or a penalty kill, they always show where that team is ranked. And the more the more the season goes on, the more I ignore that. And it's more of like, what are you doing now? What have you done in the last handful of games? Because that really tells the story. Because once you get to this point right around this point of the season, you're not moving, like you're not dropping like a free fall, and you're not like running up the standings in either one of those categories, penalty killer or power play, because it's just the numbers are kind of like locked in where they are. And proof is, with the Avalanche, their power play, while still like third in the league, is not been the greatest as of late. And yeah, it was 1 for 5. If you want to call it 1.4, 1 for 4.5 or something, whatever you want to say, that's fine. But look what they did in this game. Like save for that very last power play that I thought looked good, and you had nothing to show for it. your first few power plays were just nothing. It was, you had, well, which one did they score on? Who scored the one? I'm trying to look it up here quickly. But the Nichushkin one was when the puck kind of like got behind Ottinger and he was just there to clean it up. So that one you got a little bit lucky on, but hey, it's a power play goal. We'll take it. They struggled mightily, and this is a credit to Dallas, to get a puck in the zone. And Dallas just loads up that blue line, and it's like, you might get it past us, but you're going to have a heck of a time trying to do that. And when the Avalanche, when their patented play of just dropping it back to Nathan McKinnon, and that's the only thing you do, it kind of makes it easy for Dallas to be like, yeah, okay, you might get it in, but it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be difficult to do that. And the Avalanche don't change it up at all. And I think that's a problem. Like, if you know that this team is got your number, getting the puck into the zone, making it difficult for you to get into the zone, you got to carry it into the zone more. Or you have to, I know you don't want to dump and chase on a power play, but you might have to do that when they are front loading that defense to be all up on the blue line. But when you go into the zone, right when you get into the zone, you make that pass off to the wing, that's getting stopped every time. And then flip the script on the penalty kill. That is just a disaster right now. Like, they just can't stop anything. So both things on the special teams, that helps elevate your team and get things going. And for both sides, you kill off a penalty, that rallies the troops. You get a power play goal, that gets things going. And the Avs are struggling to do both of those right now.
Yeah, because you mentioned like this is about the time where the numbers don't fall. I've watched the Avalanche power play fall from number 1. They're sitting about 5 right now, and it's continuing to drop.
Yeah, but when you not to cut you off, but when somebody sees that, when you're on a power play, like, oh, they're 5th in the league, they must be really good. No, like recently it's not. But that's why I don't pay attention to it. But go ahead.
No, and it's getting worse. And the penalty kill, it's leaking. It's absolutely abysmal. Like, you're in the low 20s now, and especially with the Avs situation the way it is, like everything we talked about in the first segment, the power play. This is the momentum, immediate momentum. This turns the tide. You get that Nichushkin goal where he kept going and finally powered it through on Ottinger, being in the right place, right time, playing to the whistle. Sure. That was a moment like you felt like, hey, the Avs are in this. They got a chance. Like, it was like you felt it. And with everything that's going wrong with defense and goalies, doesn't matter who's in there playing what, when you let up goals on the special teams and you cannot kill off a penalty, it's just demoralizing. It's the flip of the coin on that situation. And the Avs have been on the other side of that so many times, and they have to constantly build. You have to capitalize on the opportunities you're given. And then when you have to stand up and make a play, you have to do that if you want to stay in these games. And when the numbers don't lie, and the Avs are just both penalty kill and power play are steadily getting worse. And I don't know what you have to do to change it. I don't know if it's a personnel change on PP1, PP2, or even the PKs, but something has to shift because it's steadily regressing.
Well, they started putting Nichushkin on the power play 1. Which I think that's where he needs to be.
Yeah,
like you got to do that. Yeah. So, and well, he's starting to, his first few games, got his legs, and you're starting to see him really start to turn the corner. So, maybe that'll kind of carry over into the power play. But the moment where I was like, like this is just another moment where you're like, this is the season for the Avs. The phantom call on Mason Marchment, which, the puck, Devontae's stick either didn't touch him at all or just slightly grazed his visor. And I thought he was, having a heart attack on the ice, the way that he reacted to it. And that happened right towards the end of the second period. At that point, you're down 3-1. And if you can get into, the second intermission down that's obviously something that you can work with. You're down, but hey, we got 20 minutes to fight and claw our way back into this thing. The Avs, we saw, did it. But that penalty puts Dallas on the power play, and they score on it right before the second period's over. And now you're going into second intermission 4-1. So don't tell me that didn't really play a part, because it did. It was a horrible call, and he embellished the heck out of it. It worked, and it to Dallas's favor, and look at the difference that made. And then on the flip side, Cale Makar gets one from Jamie Benn, and I'm looking in the opposite direction when that happened. Not blaming the refs, just saying, like, bad calls happen in every game. Those were two. But it just goes to the struggle right now. Like, when that penalty happened, I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, if they don't kill this thing, that is a not that you had momentum. That's not a momentum killer. It's just a psyche killer going into the second intermission, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and the Avs, they got to capitalize on those moments when bad calls happen. And this is the NHL. We've been watching since the beginning of time. It happens. It's something you have to stand up, and you got to get through. And it's going to go the other way. Like, the Avs had calls that should have happened to them, did not get called. Same for Dallas. There could have been a lot more power play opportunities for the Avs that just did not get called. But what's the benefit of doing that with the power play as atrocious as it is?
It's
like what? It's the same thing. It's the same thing with pulling the goalie. Like, what does that give you? It's honestly sealing the game. Every time you do, you give up a goal, you lose the advantage. So all three of those special teams, it doesn't matter if you're awarded that opportunity or you have to stand up in that opportunity. You're not benefiting from either one of those aspects.
Yeah. And we haven't really harped too much on face-offs a lot this year. But it's so funny, because I was complaining about it, because there was a point in the game where it was like 75% to 25% in favor of Dallas,
and you could feel it.
You absolutely could feel it. It was like those moments where it's like, because there's so many power plays in this game. And like, those are the ones that I watch, and you can't even win those. They're already in your zone. That just helps. It evened out as the game went on, and it went to 57 to 43, 57.5 to 42.5. So they has narrowed the gap in, like, as the game went on, which is a good thing, because, when they pulled the goalie, when Georgiev came out, I was like, man, like, I don't know if I do that, even though it was an icing on Dallas. So it's in your offensive zone. I still was like, the way it's been going today with faceoffs, I wouldn't do this right now, but they did. They won those draws, and it was a stick or a puck that just hops over Cale Makar's stick that doomed them, not the actual faceoff. And you're hearing a lot on social media right now of when the Avalanche pulled Georgiev. It was right shy of 3 minutes. I think it was like 250 something when he pulled him. Is it too early? I mean, what are you going to do? Wait another 30 seconds? I don't know. Like, maybe you could have waited another shift, but that's on an icing, and you're bringing your guns out when they're a little bit tired. I get the thought behind it, but you're only down one at that point. You do have a little bit of time to play with here. So maybe it's just, hindsight's 2020, but do I think it was the worst call in the world? No, but I maybe would have waited another shift or so.
Yeah, and to follow up on your other point about the faceoffs, you're putting Jamie Benn, one of the league's best faceoff guys, against Nathan McKinnon, who couldn't win a faceoff against a potato. Yeah. So, like, it's been like, you felt that and it's when you're doing the power play, doing a penalty kill, that's who's taking the faceoffs in those situations. That's where you feel it. So faceoffs, yes, big problem. I have not been a fan of the goalie pull. So in the third period, one, because it hasn't been beneficial. Right. You haven't turned the tides, and it's been a minute after you pull the goalie, they're putting in the empty netter. It's not giving you an advantage. So if it's not working, stop doing it. I don't care how much time is in there. If you're building something, don't just ramp up the stakes. Like, I understand, I know what the benefit of pulling the goalie is, but we haven't seen it pay off once this season. The Avs need to work their way out of that hole.
I think that well, that's my thinking, is like, under normal circumstances,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem pulling it
Yep.
at that point in time. But the way the Avalanche have been handling it this year, it's been a struggle for them to get empty netter, and they're giving up a lot of them. So taking that into account, maybe I wouldn't have done it just because it's been a struggle for this to do it when there's maybe like I said 30 seconds earlier, maybe a whole nother minute, somewhere in between the 1 to 2 minutes, because asking this team to not give up an empty netter for 3 full minutes is an ask. It's a tall order. It's a tall order. So
I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah. See, normally I am because it's exciting.
Yeah, but
this team's just struggling to maintain that extra man advantage with the empty net. So yeah, maybe I just talked myself into not wanting to do it that early. All right, let's get our last break in. We come back. We'll briefly touch on the injuries and get to our subtext people and our sound check. So we'll do all that next. First, we're going to hear from FanDuel, so get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Broncos got their Monday night this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Against the Browns of all teams. So
Jameis Winston,
come on now. So get started. Maybe you want to put that $150 in bonus bets on the Broncos Monday night. Why not? If you win your first $5 bet, you get that $150 in bonus bets. That's over at FanDuel. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so yeah, you got Miles Wood on IR. Jonathan Drouin is on IR. Shillington is hurt. I don't know. I don't know if he's day to day or what his status is. And then during this game, Josh Manson goes to make a hit. His glove came off, and the way that his glove was maybe like 5 feet away from him. And he skated back to the bench and literally just skated right by his glove. So instead of just picking up the glove and continuing to play, he went back. And when he did that, I was like, okay, that's not good. It's not, like if a guy loses a helmet, he's got to put it on right away. I don't know if it's true for the gloves. I don't know. Like, if you lose a glove, is that part of the equipment that you have to pick up or go to, like saying, like, you lose your helmet, that's a rule. I don't know if it is for gloves. But either way, like, he could have gotten it. It was right there. And the fact that he didn't was like, ooh, that's not good.
If you rewound that just a little bit more, he made that hit in the boards. And if you watched, he went into the hit and his hand went into the stanchion. Mm-hmm. And the reaction of hitting it is why the glove came off. And when I saw that, I was like, well, forget it. There you go.
Yeah. And I think that happened. It happened in the second period. And then they announced he was not going to return. Yeah. Who knows what we got there? So we'll have to watch that. Again, we always record right after the game is over. So maybe Bednar said something during the press conference. If he has information on it right away, we don't know.
My eye test tells me 4 to 6 weeks.
You're right. It was not a good eye test injury report from these sets of eyes right here. So over on subtext, we have our subtext crew weighing in on this. Cody says staying out of the box would have helped, and not looking pedestrian on most of their own power plays wouldn't have hurt either. Everyone just kind of played meh, in my opinion. And sure, they got close to tying it in the third, but the Avs exhausted all their comeback wins last season at the point. Bednar should stop pulling the goalie and keep pushing 5-on-5, as I genuinely think the Avs would have had a better shot at tying it up. Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about that. They were playing well, so maybe it was a little bit early, but I don't know.
Everything that Cody just said is complete fact.
Yeah, no, it's good comments. Brandon, they need to help on D and a new goalie, and sooner the better. before the hole is too deep to dig themselves out. Look, like Georgiev's been okay as of late. But again, this goes back to what are you going to get in return? Like you're not going to be. You're not trading these guys to bring in someone that's doing better than he is.
All statements are correct. Like the crop of who you're bringing in is not great, but you're not going to go far with this tandem.
Yeah. Vargar, I mean, we know where he stands, but a lot of people were drinking the Georgie Kool-Aid after the Vegas game. He's played 15 games and was great in 4 and subpar in 11. This is who he is. He says packaging Georgiev and Wood would free up about $5.9 million in cap space. Obviously, you need that. You need to add, but maybe it's John Gibson time. Gibson hasn't played in front. Like we don't know what you're going to get in John Gibson.
John Gibson missed the beginning of this season with an appendectomy. It's like this is 5 years too late on the Gibson train, and I'm probably one of the biggest Gibson fans.
You do like him, yeah.
And I think we're about 5 years too late on that being a net positive for the Avalanche because it's honestly going to be the same thing that you're going to get in return.
I don't know. Madam Battleaxe, I'm not sure what it is about the Stars, but we are just inconsistent. I don't know what to say about the goalies anymore. I'm just not confident with Georgiev and net. I really hope McFarland is seriously looking for some type of answer. Like I've said for this season, what you want in these goalies is good enough. And was that game against the Stars good enough? I think you're on the line there with it. Was it good enough? Because he made some good stops and the defense didn't help him out on other times. So was that a good enough game? I would say yes by a little bit, not like an incredible amount, but I would say yes because like I thought he was good enough, and I thought the Avalanche missed opportunities. So the Avalanche connect on those opportunities, and you get the win. Like, was it a great performance by him? No. Was it a horrible one by him? No. It was just that median level, which is what the Avalanche want, and this one you lost. The next one you might win. And that's where we are for this year at the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, that's all that matters to me. I'm not about giving out a participation award for showing up and being average. Wins and losses are what matters right now, and you've racked up a lot of losses being average. Like, somebody has to be better than average because it's just not sustainable right now. Like, it's not sustainable play.
And finally, Kay says, Marchment gets the Oscar. Seems like the Avs cannot win nationally televised games anymore. Wasn't the Vegas game that was TNT? Yeah, that was a TNT game. Yeah. So, but maybe they have a poor record nationally. I don't really keep track of that. But so they didn't give up, which is nice to see. Hope Manson won't be gone long. The injuries on his team are straight up depressing at this point. And remember how not that long ago we were like, the Avs are getting healthy, boys. And why would we think that would last? What the heck are we thinking?
I'm done thinking we're going to get good goalie play and a healthy team. Those are two things I'm never going to believe in anymore.
Fight through all of that stuff. So, which brings us to our sound check. And nobody had sound checks for us tonight. Okay. All right, people. It's late. It's late. So, but what we do is we pick
the day the music died.
Yeah, there you go. We pick 2 songs that summarize the most recent game, put them up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can follow along with. The playlist is under LOA Soundcheck. This one is volume number 4. What do you got for this one, sir?
What holiday did we just go through?
Turkey Day.
What band is synonymous with Turkey Day?
That's a really good question. Is there a band synonymous with Thanksgiving?
Oh, there's one. Oh, one. The only thing is one. No, we're going to. This is going to be Creed, baby.
Why is Creed synonymous with Thanksgiving?
Have you that halftime show? The Cowboys.
Oh,
halftime?
that I thought you were talking about like their music or something.
No, they're synonymous.
The show,
yes.
Got it.
Well, they released a song in 2008 on their Perfect Circle album, 1,000 Faces. And that's what this Avalanche team is right now. Like, good, bad, really good. We play good first periods, bad second periods, great second periods. I don't know what this team is anymore. And 1,000 faces.
Yes, you do. You just said it. That's exactly what they are. There's just a lot to choose from.
It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, but if not anything, it kind of keeps you on your toes because you never know what you're gonna get. Like, man,
And look, in the game against Edmonton, I'm going to give all the listeners some homework. The game against Edmonton's a late game. Watch one or two games have nothing to do with the Avalanche, not even the Western Conference. Watch other teams, and then watch this Colorado Avalanche team. Like, cleanse your palate of the burgundy and blue for one game. Just pick a random game and watch how other teams are playing, and watch the synergy, watch the identity of other teams, even bad teams. You can find it. You will not find it in this Colorado Avalanche team right now in comparison to the rest of the league.
yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm kind of going down that road. It's just, this more just like immediate. It's just, I think the last game, didn't you do an Aerosmith song?
I did.
Yeah.
Crank up a rolling.
Yeah.
It's choo-choo.
Yeah. We didn't even get to that because it was a Thanksgiving Eve, but yeah, you went Aerosmith. I'll piggyback off that. Go Aerosmith for mine, off their 9 Lives album. And we don't use foul language on this show, but the name of the song is Ain't That a B Word.
Brad Marchand.
Ain't that a Brad Marchand? It's just how you're saying, like, it's a team of 1,000 faces. It's just like, it's just where we're at watching the Avalanche. You never know what you're going to get. They will make you feel really good about this team. They will make you feel indifferent about this team. They'll make you feel like they have no chance and you know what about this team. And then they'll turn around and be like, oh, it's clicking now. But that is now like game to game to game. So it'll be, I think, will they have good moments where they'll go on a run? Yeah, I think they can go on a 4, 5, 6 game winning streak, but they could also do that in a losing streak as well. It's where you're at with this team.
The Avs are currently trying to win an Academy Award for a Best Picture with YouTube Shorts.
And it could be the first time it's ever done. That's the crazy part of it, is like they could go relatively far. They could. It's amazing. It's amazing watching this team. They're all over the place. We'll see. All right. And they're right back at it Saturday.
Tonight.
Who's that against? That is against
Edmonton.
That is Edmonton. Yeah, you're right. So all right. I don't know if we'll do tomorrow night or Sunday. We'll see. But either way, we'll be talking about this game. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today, everybody. So thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys later. And you just made it through another 24 hours where Sidney Crosby's that much closer to being in a Colorado Avalanche sweater.
But he beat Brad Marchand.
Mm-hmm.